Floods continue to cause disruption.
British stoicism, but it's a struggle.
Lecturers walk out for a second time in a week. And more disappointment for Basingstoke. Hello and welcome to Winchester News Online. I'm John Wilson. More flood misery this week as people across Hampshire struggle to deal with one of the wettest winters in recent memory. In a moment, our chief reporter Alex Delaney reports on the news that a service which has been highly praised for its response to the crisis is to be cut. But first, environment reporter Laura Allen returns to the village of Hambledon, one of the areas worst affected by the flooding.
Though there is no longer a risk of sewage thanks to a new pipe through the village, cellars still remain full to the brim with water. Local shopkeeper James Foster has had to revert to more traditional methods to maintain the daily practices of his business.
If people, the old age pensioners, we're making sure that we go to the house and pick up a shopping list for them and deliver it. Gone back in time, delivering on a push bike, like they did in the good old days. But yeah, pretty much everything's trying to run as normal.
Though still in need of external help, locals are looking after themselves. A flood action group volunteers day and night to look after the most vulnerable members of the village.
You can imagine that it's now taking its toll. Very stressful. Local doctor said he's had a number of patients who are really quite stressed about the whole thing because of course it's damaging their houses and damaging their businesses, damaging their way of life. We'll get through it. British stoicism, but it's a struggle.
With the roads here still looking more like rivers, it may be some time before residents of Hambledon can leave their wellies at home. Laura Allen, Winchester News Online, Hambledon.
More for Hambledon now, after the council announced plans to cut the accredited community safety service. Community safety officers, who played a significant role in helping Hambledon residents deal with the flooding, have now been told they will lose their jobs. Alex Delaney has this report.
From laying down sandbags to fitting water pumps, there is always another job that needs doing in flood-hit Hambledon. Fortunately for the residents, they have had a helping hand from a team of accredited community support officers.
I think they've been wonderful. If we don't have that kind of expertise, then people would have flooded. I think they've saved a lot of homes.
The Accredited Community Safety Scheme is funded by Hampshire County Council. The officers help communities in times of need, filling the gaps left by the emergency services.
This morning we've been here, we've been helping with the highways sand bagging across into the roads, into the affected areas.
Without the community safety officers, who have now been told they cannot speak to the press, children from the village preschool may have been left stranded.
We had a meeting and they decided to put lots of people in place to help carry the children up the road to preschool. So we met all the parents at the end and they got carried to preschool to drive it.
But now, the officers here have been told they are no longer needed. The Hampshire County Council say they could save up to £1.5 million by cutting the service. They also say that much of the service the officers provide overlaps with the Hampshire Constabulary's police community support officers. However, the scenes here in Hambledon seem only to highlight the importance of the community safety officers and the work that they are doing here.
We're a responsible authority. We're looking after Hambledon now. The concerns of people there are very, very real to us. I wouldn't be doing it, or even contemplating doing something, if I thought there weren't other ways of achieving it.
The council has said it plans to cut the scheme by the end of this year. Alex Delaney, Winchester News Online, Hambledon.
While we have seen how one particular community has been dealing with the adverse conditions, the flooding has also raised wider political issues, with some questioning the effectiveness of the government's response. Joining me now is our political editor Lucy Britt. The experts say the conditions have been extreme, but surely politicians can't be blamed for the weather as well.
Well, no, they can't be held accountable for the weather, but they can be held accountable for how the floods have been dealt with.
And how are politicians dealing with the floods?
Well, I've spoken to the office of George Holloway, who's the MP for Westmeorn, and they have said that MPs are working closely with Southern Water and with the Environment Agency on this. But there is little satisfaction in what has been done so far, and I think that the Prime Minister is facing calls from Hampshire and surrounding counties for more funding and help.
But why is the Environment Agency facing so much criticism now?
They are facing massive backlash from the surrounding communities, and I think that is because more flooding is on the way. As we saw earlier, Hambledon was one of the worst affected areas in Hampshire, and last year the agency refused to give them funding for a £3.5 million flood easing scheme, which has led to the Hampshire Environment Leader writing to government demanding action on this. The Environment Secretary, Ian Paterson, has defended his response, saying that he is visiting the worst hit areas and will be speaking to leading experts on what to do. As it stands, the Prime Minister is backing the Environment Agency.
Thanks very much for joining us, Lucy. Lecturers have walked out for a second time in a week as a dispute between unions and university bosses intensifies. The academics claim they have only been offered a 1% pay rise, while some vice-chancellors are paid up to £400,000. Lucy Wilson went to report on the strike at the University of Winchester.
Lecturers at the University of Winchester walked out on students yesterday to continue the fight over staff pay differences as lecturers are being refused more than a 1% pay rise. The anger follows the discovery that vice-chancellors all over the UK are receiving more than an average 5% pay rise.
Lecturers have gathered with leaflets, megaphones and picket signs to get the message across to the Vice-Chancellor and students about unfair pay.
Union members across the country are taking part in the strike.
We've got to get this pay situation sorted out so that ones at the top don't keep getting so much more than everybody else. We're going to keep fighting.
It's hoped things will get sorted before further action is planned.
While students are only maybe being affected by 1 hour of their lecture, it's a kind of ongoing disruption. So when that affects our students, obviously there is a fine line that can be crossed. We really just hope that this gets resolved soon on the national scale so that when it filters down to this university, things are sorted.
The university said, strike action impacts most negatively upon students and the university regrets that the unions moved to strike so quickly. Lucy Wilson, Winchester News Online, the University of Winchester.
Firefighters can now react faster to fight against harmful chemical spills. State-of-the-art fire trucks will enable crews to respond to emergencies within minutes. Our reporter Megan Fisher got exclusive access to the team's headquarters in Romsey.
Hampshire Fire and Rescue has teamed up with the Environment Agency to provide smaller vans to tackle toxic spills. 2 new vehicles have been given to the area as part of a national project to improve response times, as fire engines can take a while to get going and to heat up. The chemicals and toxins are a serious danger to wildlife and hold a severe health risk to the public.
Romsey houses one of these vehicles, with the other being based at Alton. Fire crews have used the equipment behind me, but the vans are still to see action.
Equipment like this pump can be used to contain chemicals and harmful toxins, separating them from water to prevent further pollution. Crews are being specially trained to work with these vans, either as a standalone service or helping fire engines.
Whether it be chemicals from a chemical spillage or fuel from a vehicle from a road traffic collision, the response to it in the local area will be very quick. My colleagues, as I say, are always very pleased to take new equipment on. It gives us another aspect to our job.
Megan Fisher, Winchester News Online.
Celebrity chef Jamie Oliver has decided to close his restaurant in Winchester. Union Jack's on the city's high street only opened about 2 years ago. The pizzeria is one of 3 branches to close due to what the company calls challenging economic conditions. Winchester City Council plans to convert Chesil Street car park into flats for the elderly. The proposal has proven controversial with some businesses and residents in the area. People have until Monday to give their opinions on the development. For the first time in Hampshire, poachers have had their hunting dogs seized. The men were also fined hundreds of pounds as part of a new police crackdown on poaching. Our crime reporter Tom Wright has been following the story.
Running scared. The hare is just one target of poachers in Hampshire. Farmers don't feel safe.
The poachers themselves are violent and aggressive and intimidating and have got their eyes open all the time for stuff to steal as well as just poaching. So we've had to physically block the gateways. We've got a fabulous new gate in this particular gateway. Other fields have old cultivators left in them to block the entrance.
Hampshire police feel they can come down harder on poaching.
Perhaps we haven't been as robust as we should have been in trying to tackle it. Certainly by taking dogs away from people that are using dogs as part of their criminal activity, we send out a strong message to these people that that won't be tolerated.
Farmers hope that convictions and heavy fines will have poachers running scared. Tom Wright, Winchester News Online.
In sport, Winchester City are having a fantastic season, but their dreams of promotion may be dashed unless they raise £10,000 in the next few weeks. The Denplan Stadium needs a major upgrade to meet the Football Association ground regulations. Our sports reporter, Callum Warren Piper, has the story.
Winchester City are top of the league, and if their good form continues, they'll move up a division. The team is clearly good enough to play in the higher league, but the ground isn't.
The ground was somewhat neglected when we arrived earlier last year, and unfortunately the cost of all that is probably around £10,000. So yes, that's quite a chunk of money for someone, a small club like us, to find.
The club has now hired a funding expert to help gather the money, with improvements such as a new stand, outdoor facilities and paving needed before the end of March. With 2 months to improve the ground and work being done on a daily basis, the prospects of Winchester City gaining promotion look promising. Callum Warren Piper, Winchester News Online, Winchester.
Basingstoke Town took on promotion hopeful Sutton United at the Camrose Stadium on Saturday. A win for either side would be critical for playoff positions. Ravina Gatora saw the action.
Sutton United took the lead early on when striker Jamie Taylor scored in the 16th minute, leaving goalkeeper Louis Wells no chance of making a save. But Basingstoke were almost gifted a goal straight after when defender Charlie Clough's clearance just avoided his own net. Basingstoke came close to equalising 10 minutes before the break when Ben White's dangerous free kick clipped the outside of the post. A second free kick was then cleared off the line to keep Sutton ahead at half-time. Driving rain made conditions almost unplayable for both sides in the second half, but Sutton pushed for a second when Lee Sawyer's header narrowly missed the target. Manny Williams' late attempt was not enough to earn Basingstoke a point as they fall further from the playoff positions.
I thought we were unlucky. Sutton got their goal and defended well from that point, but we've had some good opportunities today and unfortunately not taken them. But you know, their goalkeepers pulled off one of the saves of the season at the end from Manny's effort. But in difficult conditions, I thought we played some good stuff and we're unlucky not to get at least a point from the game.
That's all for this week. But for more award-winning news, sports and features, log on to winall.co.uk.